Well, hello and welcome to another edition of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. We very much appreciate you joining us for our weekly engagement show. Here we are, start of a brand new month, April 1st, start of a brand new quarter number 2 of 2021. Still the same old fool as a host, though. How are you? I'm Chris Green, the Director of Network Growth for Avoya Travel. And all kidding aside, we have a fantastic episode planned for you today. We have another great special guest joining us here in just a few minutes. For our Meet the Team segment, Skip Fortier will be joining us, Vice President of Network Expansion, and we can't wait for you to meet Skip. We have exciting promotion news that we'll be sharing with you here at the end of our program. And of course, we'll make sure we provide all of the ways that you can reach out and contact us, because engaging with you remains our number one purpose here for On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. We're hoping that you hear something that sparks your curiosity and makes you want to find out more. Reach out to a network expansion specialist and have that conversation. See if you can't put together the beginning phases of a shared success relationship with Avoya Travel, the number one host agency in the industry, as voted by the industry for 6 consecutive years. But before we jump into all of that, first we start with our industry news and our On Deck with Avoya Eye on the Industry feature. And the big news this week in leisure travel is the strong push by some government officials, industry executives, and those organizations that represent the travel industry to kind of force the hand of the Center for Disease Control, the CDC, and their conditional sale order. As you know, I'm sure that conditional sale order has just been sitting there since the end of October of last year, with very little information coming up as far as updates. Well, this week, last Friday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis held a roundtable discussion with several top cruise executives in Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral, the second busiest cruise port in the world. And the governor is quoted as saying, we were working last year to try to get them sailing by now, but for whatever reason, the CDC wouldn't go there. But we're looking at making sure all ships can sail in the summer. It's really, really important. DeSantis went on to say that concerning the impact on Port Canaveral's economics, if you look here at Port Canaveral, the second leading cruise port, only behind Port Miami, it has reported an estimated loss of $86.7 million over the course of the pandemic. DeSantis said all options are on the table, including possible litigation against the CDC and the conditional sale order. Quoting the governor again, while there's not been anything filed, I think it would be malpractice for us not to look at all available options to vindicate the interests of the state. We're not announcing any action at this time because we don't believe it's necessary. But Americans are still going to be taking cruises. They're just going to be taking them from the Bahamas or Bermuda. Those are nice places, don't get me wrong, the governor said, but I want them sailing from Florida. And it's estimated that 80% of Florida's cruise line employees, and that represents approximately 120,000 people, are still unemployed. This follows a similar call for action from ASTA, the American Society of Travel Agents, who are also demanding the CDC lift the conditional sale order and allow the phased return of cruising by this summer. Quoting Zane Kirby, CEO of ASTA, concerning the restrictions, he said they're particularly unwarranted given the COVID-19 vaccinations are on the rise. The CDC's continued inaction in removing the cruise restrictions imperils the livelihoods and communities in South Florida, who up till now have been the de facto cruise capital of the world and far beyond. It's a shame that the CDC's inflexibility has brought us to this point. Also on the same subject, from CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association, they've started a Ready, Set, Sail campaign to encourage CLIA members and all members of the travel industry to, as we quote from the CLIA website, use your voice to tell Congress to urge the Biden administration to lift the conditional sailing order and allow cruising to resume in the U.S. by the beginning of July 2021. Pointing out the fact that preparing a cruise ship to sail again with the appropriate enhancement measures in place will take about 90 days, which means the cruise lines must start planning now if they're going to resume U.S. operations in July. This is very important to the travel industry as a whole. It's a topic of conversation that I'll be discussing with my special Meet the Team guest, Skip Fortier, in just a moment, as Skip heads up our participation in some of these key groups. In other cruise news, Windstar is the latest brand to announce the need to vaccinate to sail. President Christopher Prelog said in a statement concerning the reasons behind that, it's in the best health and wellness interest of its guests, crew, and places the yachts visit. Vaccinations are another layer of safety for all of us, and it's the responsible course of action as our yachts resume cruising and our guests travel the world. Windstar will have a phased return to service, with the Sea Breeze launching from St. Martin and the Windstar departing from Athens, Greece, both on June 19th of this year. Exciting news from our friends at Royal Caribbean, as they've announced that the Quantum of the Seas will be extending its stay in Singapore for a second time now. The sailings that are cruises to nowhere will now be sailing out of Singapore until November of this year. Michael Bailey, the CEO of Royal Caribbean International, said the line has seen overwhelming demand for the Quantum sailings in Singapore, on which more than 50,000 passengers have taken more than 30 cruises and had 0 positive COVID-19 cases to date. Also from the Royal Caribbean camp, they finally took possession of their newest member of the fleet, the Odyssey of the Seas. It happened yesterday in a virtual event that they broadcast over their social media channels. The Odyssey of the Seas is the 4th Quantum class ship and the 2nd in the Quantum Ultra class series. It'll be making its maiden voyage, revenue voyage that is, traveling out of Israel in the beginning of May. This all comes on the heels of a very strong first quarter for travel sales, with many brands reporting robust business. Avoya Travel and the members of the Avoya Travel Network have also seen a very strong sales rebound when compared to the rest of COVID-19 crisis. And you might remember a few weeks back, we discussed Avoya's brand new Vacations to Take Now campaign. The Vacations to Take Now campaign combines a new suite of industry-leading creative assets in Avoya's Marketing Resource Center, with targeted one-to-one email marketing and social media aimed at informing and engaging travelers on the products and destinations that are best suited to their specific travel desires. Well, that exciting new campaign launches tomorrow, April 2nd, and it's already generating big buzz in the industry. And it's certainly a strong reason that you should reach out and discuss Avoya Travel's elite resources with an independent agency affiliate specialist today. Well, it's time once again for my favorite segment of On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update, because it's time for our Meet the Team feature. And this week, our special guest is Skip Fortier, the Vice President of Network Expansion. Skip's going to be joining us here in just a moment. You see, each week we have the privilege to introduce you to another member of the Avoya team, so that you get a chance to put a face to the best-in-class resources offered to those in the Avoya Travel Network. And we're very proud that our resources run so deep here at Avoya Travel. It's what sets us apart in the industry. That and the fact that we don't compete with our affiliates. 100% of the sales that are made by members of the Avoya Travel Network. So the members of the Avoya team that we introduce you to, well, they're the backbone. They provide the resources to make that all more effective, to be able to reach higher goals and to focus on what's important, the sales and service to your clients. Now, Skip Fortier has had a very unique perspective, because before he was Vice President of Network Expansion, he was a very successful travel agency owner in the Avoya Travel Network and a very well-respected professional with years of experience in the travel industry. So Skip has seen this shared success relationship from both sides, and we're very excited to welcome him as our featured guest today. Skip Fortier, welcome to On Deck with Avoya. We certainly appreciate having you today.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be here, and thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. Skip, like we do with many of our featured Meet the Team guests, let's go backwards in time for a little bit to one of your first travel adventures. And I found this really fascinating that you had a chance to be an exchange student in Russia. In fact, one of the first exchange students in Russia in the middle of the Cold War. What an experience that must have been at a young age. Did that really kind of help shape your world perspective on things?
It did. It's actually a funny story. So I heard that the Russian language teacher was planning a trip for his students the following year to go to Russia. So I signed up to take the class, and little did I know at the time that I was going to be going on really a trip of a lifetime. So we spent time in Moscow, Kiev, and Leningrad, and as a teenager to have that experience, it was life-changing. All we knew about Russia was what we saw on TV. So to go there and experience their culture and spend time with some amazing families and learn about their history, it was something I'll always remember. And I believe that, my trip to Russia was the root of my travel bug, that would drive me forward from there.
And man, it certainly, drove you forward, right? Because personally, one of my travel goals is to one day visit all 50 states in the United States and get to all of the continents of the world. And I'm a bit jealous of you because you've already accomplished at least one of those goals, right? You've been to all the continents of the world, which is amazing. Did that happen while you were a member of the U.S. Navy?
Yeah, the Navy gave me the opportunity to travel around the globe. And, if I could have done it all over again, I think I would have stayed in the Navy as a full career. But, when you're young, you always think the grass is greener on the other side. But yeah, the Navy was an awesome opportunity. I got to go, on every ocean in the world. And all the continents between that and my personal travel. So I've been able to check that off, and I have been all 50 states too. So those are two things that I'm very fortunate that between the Navy and my time in travel that I've had that opportunity.
Well, I'm double jealous then, and thank you very much for your service, Skip.
Appreciate it.
We're chatting with Skip Fortier, Vice President of Network Expansion, and Skip is my direct boss. He's the person I report to on a daily basis. So Skip and I, we get to spend a lot of time together at trade shows and meetings and things like that. And Skip, one of the things that people always find fascinating is your time working at Disney World. Tell us a little bit about that unique experience.
After I got divorced, I found myself looking for a change in my environment. So I ended up in Florida working at Disney World. And while I was there, I heard about character auditions, and I said, why not? I'll give it a try. And who knew that I would actually get to be cast as Goofy? So I have to say, even though it was a grueling experience, the Florida weather, it's very hot. Those suits at that time did not have any ventilation. It was a great diet program, though, for 4 years. And I really actually loved it. But after 4 years, I just had to stop. It was too much, left it for the younger kids.
All right. So I have to ask, and I hope you don't mind, will you do the Goofy laugh for us? That's so good. I love it every time you do that. Well, what a segue then. So let's go from you being Goofy to talk about your Avoya travel experience, because before you started, you were a very successful travel agency owner in the Avoya Travel Network before you transferred over to the employee side. What first drew you to Avoya Travel when you were looking at making those decisions and opening your own agency?
Well, my progression through the industry, I started at United Airlines. After that, I did junket travel. I was fortunate enough to manage a sales force of one of the first OTAs after the World Wide Web really started. And then I managed an American Express vacation division for several years. And it was during that time that I had the opportunity to not only learn about, but meet the Anderson family. Back then, Van and Brad Anderson was the second generation of the Anderson family. And they were, of course, at all the American Express meetings. So got to learn more about it. And, after several years at Amex, I had to take some time off for some health issues. And I wanted to come back, and I decided I wanted to have my own agency and my own business. So, for me, I had no client base. I was on my own, just getting started. And I knew Avoya Travel really was the only agency out there that had a patented live lead program. So for me, it was the best decision I could make, was to come to Avoya Travel and take advantage of the lead program. And I was fortunate enough for the 4 years that I was an affiliate with Avoya to be part of their best of the best programs. And I had great success in selling escorted tours, river cruises, and ocean cruises.
Now, as we transfer from your time as an agency owner to being an employee, tell us a little bit about your current role, Skip, as the Vice President of Network Expansion, and how that has had to change and evolve, especially over the last year due to COVID.
Sure. So I started in 2012 as the manager of what we used to call Join Avoya, worked my way up to director, which is the position you currently have. Then I was associate vice president, and now I'm vice president of network expansion. So that's kind of the evolution of how my time at Avoya. So 13 years, my 13th year now as an employee. And so, we are responsible for bringing in all the new independent affiliates into our network. So it's probably one of the most rewarding jobs, I think, at Avoya Travel, because we get to find some really exciting, motivated professionals that want to be part of this amazing family.
I mean, and just to toot our own horn for a second, we really do get a chance to change people's lives because, you know, what we are offering are really the best in class resources available in the industry. And so to watch people go from hearing our story to then becoming successful in the network is really very rewarding, I think, for all of us. And having led the team yourself that sources everybody, what do you think, what skills are required to be a really successful travel agent in the Avoya Travel Network?
Well, I think motivated entrepreneurs, you know, that have the drive to be successful, people that are willing to put in the work, they have a strong passion for travel, and they're able to be focused, you know, on running a business from home. Because as we all know, there are many distractions when working from your house, and especially for the last year, but just in general. So to be able to juggle your business and your family is definitely a challenge. But at the end of the day, you know, it's very worthwhile if you can pull it off efficiently. But I think that's the biggest thing, is to be able to be focused. And even though you're working from home, that you're still running a business, and you have to approach every day that way.
A lot of people that might be watching our On Deck with Avoya this week, you know, are people that may have been employees of big agencies in the past and found themselves let go or caught up in the COVID downturns. And they're thinking about that process of opening their own agency for the first time. What things do you think they should consider when they're choosing a host agency?
Sure. So there's some keys to that. I think integrity and professionalism, the reputation of the agency Avoya Travel. We're 55 plus years, third generation family, over 30 years, part of the American Express family. So integrity, professionalism, reputation, the technology they bring into to the table, because you don't want to spend your time worrying about technology. You want to spend your time selling travel. So the better the technology, the easier it is for you to sell travel. The support, you know, support is amazing. So that's an important part, especially of Avoya Travel. The amount of support that we offer to our affiliates 7 days a week, which is amazing, because a lot of agencies out there don't have that level of support. And the resources, all the resources we have an amazing marketing resource platform for affiliates, for example, to really push and grow their own personal business. So they don't have to rely just on the leads we provide. So I think those are all things that people should be looking for.
Skip Fortier is our special guest this week. Skip is the Vice President of Network Expansion. And Skip, I know that one of the other roles that you play here at Avoya Travel is leading up the Avoya's participation in great organizations like CLIA and ASTA and PATH. Tell me a little bit about that part of your job and why those organizations just matter so much, especially at this given time in our industry.
Yeah, representing Avoya, these roles, is something I really enjoy. We know the challenges this year that our industry has had, but I can tell you that, you know, as you highlighted earlier, ASTA and CLIA, they've been working diligently on all our behalf to push Congress, political leaders, and help and protect the travel business. I mean, without our trade associations, we'd all be left on our own to try to do something. And we know how unsuccessful that would be as individuals, you know, so they're out there to make sure that we are heard. And especially over this past year, they've done some tremendous work for us on the Hill to make sure that the financial packages that are being offered by the government include the travel industry, include travel agents. So it's been an amazing, the exposure, you know, that they brought up on the Hill. It's just, it's a shame that the squeaky wheel, you know, the squeaky wheel gets, what's this saying?
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Thank you. So I just had, my brain just went dead. That's what happens when you get my age, Chris. So ASTA and CLIA is the squeaky, you know, they're the squeaky wheel. So they get a lot of coverage for us, and it's really paid off this year.
Well, ASTA is going to try to be very squeaky next month, right? Because it's their annual legislative day in May. And I know once again, you'll be involved heavily with that. Tell us a little bit about that initiative and what it entails.
Right. So every year, ASTA has a legislation day. We all get together and we get to meet with Congress, senators, congressmen, and their staff to discuss the important issues of the industry and ask for their support. So various bills and amendments that are either already on the table or that we would like to have a congressman really start a bill. You know, we gather in small groups. We meet with the office that represents our states. And I think for this year's event, I think we have over 40 states that'll be represented. So that's amazing. You know, it's amazing to me to find out how many representatives that are out there that don't really understand the impact that leisure travel has on the income for their state. I mean, you think about the amount of taxes and the number of jobs that the travel industry provides within the United States, not only just talking about the port cities that are big, of course, with the cruise industry, but just general travel in general, from hotels to airlines to rental cars. It's a big thing. So this will be my fourth legislation day year, and everything that we've passed over the last year, I'm especially looking forward, to meeting and interact with our politicians.
Yeah, and the trickle-down effect of that money, too, is just tremendous, to the communities itself that it impacts. So, Skip, you've had a chance to be a foreign exchange student in Russia. You've seen the world by being a member of the United States Navy, and yet your most significant personal travel experience happened fairly recently, which is really kind of cool if you think about it. Tell me a little bit about that special trip to Myanmar. Am I saying that right?
Sure. A couple of years ago, and of course, I feel so bad about the people right now in Myanmar and what they're going through with the coup that's happening there. And I hope that the UN and other nations will step in to help them. But we had the very fortunate opportunity to spend 2 weeks aboard the scenic Aura, sailing down the Irrawaddy River. And of all the travels I've been around the globe, this is the one that I'll always rate at the top of my list. Amazing people, amazing culture. Right now they're going through a terrible situation, and we hope that they'll get past this and we can get some tourism going back into that region, because they really need it. It's a beautiful part of the world, but they're just going through bad times right now.
Yeah, and the photos that you shared from that trip were just breathtaking. Certainly automatically put that location on my bucket list for the future. Do you have any special trips that you're kind of planning now that you're hoping for as the world reopens to international travel?
Right now I'd be happy to travel anywhere.
Right.
I'm ready. And, from what I can see from the amazing number of consumer bookings that are coming in from our fantastic independent affiliates, consumers are ready to travel as well. I think there's a lot of pent-up demand, and I'm one of them. So I know that some of our staff is already planning to go to the islands or go to either Nassau or St. Martin's and take one of the cruises that are coming up that are going to sail out there. But I'm anxious to go, and I look forward to it.
Skip, one last question before we wrap up our interview today. What advice would you offer a travel professional today wondering if now is the time to make a move?
Well, it's understandable that people can be reluctant to make a change right now with everything we've all been through and everything the industry has been through. But if you really, think about it, it's probably the best time to align yourself with a company that can offer you some amazing marketing resources to rebuild your client base, provide you with some consumer leads to supplement your personal clients, award-winning support, and align yourself with a host agency that's recognized as the best host agency year after year. We know that business is going to come back, and we know that consumers are ready to go. So why not make a change now so that you can learn the new systems and be ready to go when that floodgate opens, because we know it's going to open wide.
Skip Fortier, Avoya Travel's Vice President for Network Expansion. Skip, thank you so much for your time. And I hope I didn't ask anything too tough today, boss. We appreciate you being our featured guest on Deck with Avoya.
Thanks, Chris. It was great to be here. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. Joining us next week as our featured guest will be Danny DeBrot, Senior Manager of Avoya Mastermind at Avoya Travel. And if you're interested in how to make a point, move the process forward with clients towards a sale, instead of just making lots of noise and not resulting in sales, Danny is the person to talk to. He is fantastic at what he does, and I'm very much looking forward to that conversation when we have Danny as our Meet the Team guest next week here on Deck with Avoya Travel. So let's talk promotion news. We had mentioned that some of the promotions that we had on the table were getting ready to expire. Well, the demand has been fantastic. We thank you very much for reaching out, those of you who have. And we want to give you more time to be able to make that decision because we know everything going on with COVID. It's just tough right now, right? So those offers have been extended. So still 2 great ways for you to join the Avoya Travel Network. You can either join for free if you're a high-end travel professional. We're more than happy to go over the specific details to qualify for that, but basically entails having been a professional for several years. Probably in 2019, you were over $500,000 in gross sales for the year. You ended up with future cruise credits, future travel credits. You've been making some bookings as things have started to thaw out in the first quarter of this year. Again, my team will be more than happy to see if we can get you qualified for that waived fee promotion. And if you're still trying to get to that level, if you're looking for the right resource to build your business still, well, we have a promotion for you as well. It's our free renewal fee being waived. So it's the typical 6-month agreement. You pay the normal fee. If at the end of the 6 months, if both parties want to continue the relationship, we're waiving that first renewal. So either way, anybody that qualifies to join the Avoya Travel Network at this time would qualify for one of those 2 promotions. And of course, I remind any of our current affiliates that might be on our call today that we do have some fantastic bonuses for you as well. So we'd love those referrals. You can always reach out to me directly, or you can put one through our agent power system, but we'll be more than happy to take it from there. And again, people get to explore with complete flexibility and no long-term contract or exclusive agreement. And again, reach out and contact us. So how do you contact us? Well, it's pretty simple. My contact information, chris.green@avoyatravel.com. There's the telephone number that you can reach out to directly there as well. You can send us a message here on Facebook. You can send us a message on YouTube. If you happen to be watching this on YouTube, you can reach out to us and put in a request at the avoyanetwork.com website. Again, we're just looking to be able to engage with you. So please reach out, put in that request. Let's see if we can't have a conversation, get you a demonstration of our technology, and start the process to have you an affiliate in the #1 network in leisure travel. I thank you again for your time, for joining in to On Deck with Avoya, your weekly travel update. We'll be back next week, and I hope you join us then. Special thanks to my guest, Skip Fortier, today. Special thanks to Marissa Smith, who produces our segment in the past. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you so much, everybody.